right, man. Let's talk, man. So I seen this article, and I got time to kind of get to it. So pretty much Oscar De La Hoya went out there on Clapback Thursday, which y'all already the video already been posted, and talked about Dana White's one belt plan and how it's not working. And I seen this article, and I know Bruce is the only one that was pretty much talking about the proceedings. They was having hearings for the shout out to Bruce MFA. They was having hearings for the Muhammad Ali Act. I just never got I didn't know until I seen on this channel, so I never got around to it. So it says new Muhammad Ali Act belt, one belt per weight class plans answers one of boxing's ills, right? So basically De La Hoya is saying, oh, Dana White's not doing nothing that he said he was going to do. Anytime you try to get something reformed and he's not trying to take away, he's just adding additional options to the Muhammad Ali Act, it takes time. Rome wasn't built in a day, and De La Hoya knows that, so let's read the article. I haven't read it yet by Lance Plugmar, like Lance. A bipartisan effort has moved the Muhammad Ali Act, a Muhammad Ali American Box Revival Act, closer to reality. One of the latest amendments should please the wide spectrum of sports followers who disdain the prevalence of belts. The act, the advanced by the Education and Workforce Committee by a 30-4 vote to the House of Representatives, stipulates that, quote, a sanctioning organization and unified boxing organization shall award only one championship title per each weight class. So basically, out of 34 people, 30 voted. It's only one belt per weight class per sanctioned belt body. So that's kind of getting us to kind of the promised land. Now, I'm going to educate you on why there is more than one belt per sanctioning body in the weight class. Now, you might be like, why is it? Okay, about, I don't know, 10 years ago, maybe 13 years ago, we had a situation in where they made all these orders. The WBC ordered Tim Bradley, Earl Spence. They made all these fight orders with these people, with these fighters, and nobody took the orders. So when the sanctioning belt body tried to make these fights and order these fights, nobody abided by them. People that wanted to fight, the other guy dipped out of there. Therefore, you got the diamond, the regular belt. You start to see people kind of do the more belts, and they did that because they wanted to keep each side of the street happy. They wanted to appease PBC, Top Rank. Though basically, they gave each network their own belt. And unfortunately, one thing I didn't like about the sanctioning belt bodies and shit like that, one thing I didn't like about it was how, they were counting Triple G's regular title defenses as real title defenses. I'm like, that's trash. Just to keep it a bean, that's super duper trash, right? So they basically did all these belts to keep everybody happy and keep getting money from each side of the street. Long story short, or in layman's terms, an interim belt will be awarded in case of an injury or illness to a reigning title holder, refusal or inability by the reigning title holder to defend their title, or a reason beyond control of the boxer, including inability to travel. So that's basically like what you got with Rayo Venezuela. Robert Garcia said he started working back with his amateur team because, Rayo he didn't have his visa, and with ICE going on, he couldn't get over here and train like he needed to. He gonna be on one of them Zuffa cars too. So probably also him teaming up with Dana White and Zuffa, they probably help fix his visa issue. I'm just speculating, no inside information, pure speculation, right? With them being good with Trump. So so if you're injured or you're crippled, or maybe something going on with your family, your wife having a baby, or she has some complications going on or something like that, or you have something serious happen to you in the family, that's what interim belts for, injuries and stuff of that nature, right? Otherwise, the days could be numbered for current landscape in which the WBA has at times awarded more than 40 active belts in 17 weight classes, with the sanctioning belt body charging champion fighters up to 3% to win the strap. So the thing about the 3%, they prorate. And let me tell you why. Another thing why they don't like to promote unifications, because when you unify, you must prorate. It prorates. So you take the WBA and unify the WBC, instead of them getting 3% apiece. Now they might get 1.5% apiece, because now he fighting for 2 titles. Now he holding 2 titles. You smell me on that in my Rollo voice. You smell me on that. So now all of a sudden you fighting for 2 titles. Now that digs into their pocket. This is why they don't promote unification. Now, one of the major things that you hear going on in boxing is that unification trumps mandatories. Once again, that's subjective. All these rules that they have in these sanctionable bodies are subjective to a lot of people thinking it's subjective to cash. So I got to pay for a vote. So they have no real lead lock rules. A lot of these votes are subjective. They're subjective. Once again, let me say it again. A lot of these votes are subjective. They're subjective. So, yeah, they're subjective, man. So, but nonetheless, that's why you don't see them really. They don't like, promoting unifications, because it digs into their pockets. So the WBA has a new president to the other Paco so whoever it was stepped down, and they're also moving. Or is it I think it's the WBA or the WBO. One of them moving to Houston. WBA officials did not immediately respond to the message left by boxing WBO president Gustavo Olivertray. I think that's the one that took over for Paco. Said in the sanctioning body has for many years followed the revised ground rules proposed in Wednesday hearing in Washington. And, to be honest with you, I think they're right. From my memory, the super champion, they grant him the ability to move up and move down weight classes to challenge for the mandatory. So the WBA is, been on code when it come to this rule, from my recollection, following the true intern rules. So from my recollection, that's true. I ain't saying that they the best or they play fair all the time. Quote, nobody does that benefit. It benefits everyone. Not only does that benefit the fighters, it benefits everyone. Olivieri told Boxing Scene, the new WBO president. It benefits the legitimate for a champion, because then if under that champion you have a secondary or an interim champion or a champion in recess or a regional champion, it undermines the credibility of that particular champion and sanctioned the belt body and confuses the fans, the public. I agree with this in that regard. My thing is this: I could take it a step further. When you got 3 other champions in the weight category, guess what that does? That confuses everybody else. These guys are not champions; they're title holders until somebody is identified as the lineal champion by a non-biased party. Now, you can take that however you want to take that. Olivier, as a licensed attorney, has been vocal in his response to these proposals and the new federal regulations that will allow the new Zuffa boxing program to rank fighters and award its own belts to boxers it keeps in its stable, with the company executive, UFC president, CEO Dana White saying it doesn't intend to work with the 4 sanctioned belt bodies and a revival promoter. So Oscar De La Hoya also hinted at that Dana White is allowing Jaya Tapa to go, chase his dreams, and saying, well, he's being a hypocrite. I just call it being flexible. And in the beginning, everybody is willing to be flexible. When you get to a job, they make it, and they trying to get, they trying to say you on the job. It sounds good. We work 7 to 5. Next thing you know, you working 7 to 7. They lie. That's what it is. They tell you sweet nothings in your ear, and they get you there. They get you comfortable about a month, 60 days, maybe 90 days, and then they flip the switch on you. You know what I'm saying? Then you see why the job was open. But he said belts matter. I think a belt matters is a common refrain from Olivieri. He said finding a common ground on the point that fewer belts matter could soothe the interests of boxing, which produces its debut card, new streaming partner Paramount Plus Friday night at the UFC Apex in Las Vegas. Last month, 5 division champion Terrence Crawford, who fought on Zuffer's first show versus Canelo Alvarez in September, captured an undisputed super middleweight title, was stripped of the WC after not paying $300,000 in sanction fees from his reported $50 million purse. And let me say this: his purse wasn't even $50 million. Take it how you want to. I heard it was a lot. That's 50 million is off. I'm not gonna say whether it's less, whether it's more. I'm just gonna say I just heard that wasn't the true dollar amount. Crawford proceeds to rip WB. Oh, we all know. Okay, know that. So currently, WC has 24 full interim champions and 3 vacancies in 18 weight classes, not counting special regional belts. The WBC has an affiliation, quote, of 176 countries in the world, and we respect the laws of each country. Suleiman told him that's bullshit. WBC respects the autonomy and the jurisdictions of the Federal Federation or local boxing commission where a WBC title fight is contested. All, in my opinion, or allegedly, all this pay for play. They can bend and break the rules based off cash play, and that's the problem with it. We have to study what is it all about and look into it. In the prepared statement issued following Wednesday's session, the bill's co-author, Republican Brian Jack, R-GA, Republican Georgia, I think that would stand for, said he was pleased with the improvements to the bill, which included increase the proposed minimum payments per round for boxers from 150 to 200. I mean, okay, $50. Expanding the proposed minimum medical coverage from 25 to 50 grand. I guess I feel like they should have did that exact same thing with the minimum. The minimum should at least went from 150 to 300. Really, any guy that step in that ring, bro, should at least get a stat. Updating the proposed timeline, frequency requirements for mandatory medical testing, including eye exams, blood work, brain health tests, and relevant evaluations. Additionally, Republican Ihan, hopefully I'm saying that. I hope I'm saying this. Ihan Omar, Democratic, I want to say it maybe Minnesota, won these amendments adoptions. He said mandating the boxer's contract to be no longer than 6 years. Updating the proposed free agent provision would allow boxers beginning 30-day period to expiration to their contract to initiate a contract with the UBOs or promoters. So they got a window to pretty much, negotiate before their contract is over. Let them also compare their marketplace value to their current promoter's deal. Establishing that is in the absence of about within any 6-month period, a boxer is entitled to compensation equal to 10 times the minimum per round compensation of 200. The committee's adoption of these amendments reflected my desire to create the legislation and the board of bipartisan support to revive one of America's greatest sports in the name of one of the greatest champions, Muhammad Ali. Jack wrote. Today presents a critical step forward toward the passage and first update to the federal boxing law in over a quarter century. And this legislation is now positioned for consideration by the full United States House of Representatives with strong bipartisan support. So this is the stuff that they didn't talk about that was being reformed. I like to see the minimum jump to a rack, to be honest with you. Shout out to the medical coverage and no more super belts and all that type of stuff. So I feel like that's dope, and it's a step in the right direction. And people that fight change are either old and don't want to change with the time, or they benefiting off the corruption of the current system. So, let me know what you girls and guys think. Thumbs up the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the link tree, you join the Patreon, X, Facebook, Kick, Twitch, Instagram, Spotify, other platforms. The link tree is the first link in the description. Wherever you need to find me and donate. Appreciate the love, support. Peace.